Good afternoon, everyone. 1315, famine, England. What does it have to do with today? Not enough people out there working in the fields. Food's getting expensive. Crime wave. Also taking a look at the amount of Americans that have never touched or eaten a vegetable. It's going to shock you, the percentage. Take a look at Saudi Arabia. Floods in the deserts. And the new Tartaria. And a blast from the past. Cereal yields UK 1275 to 1605 AD. Now you notice on the left side of the chart, there's some production and then it quickly just drops off in all categories: wheat, barley, and oats. What would cause that all the way through 1350, you might ask? Well, the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, multi-year event, and they didn't really recover until about good 15 years after that. Started with crop failures, incredibly unstable weather that mixed up their planting and harvesting times because too much rain. They couldn't get in the fields. They couldn't till. Nothing would dry. And then they had cattle disease cause sheep and cattle numbers to plummet. There it is in blue, as much as 80%. And that it marked by extreme levels of crime and other nasties that you really don't want around in your society. Now, if we look up at that first paragraph, spring 1315, it just started to rain, heavy rains. You know, we've seen this across the world, these massive floods everywhere. Throughout the spring, more rains. And then they couldn't dry any of the straw or hay for their animals for fodder. And that's what was partially responsible for the reduction. And they couldn't dry the grains either. They're trying to bring them inside and dry it, but that's just a nightmare in itself. But the prices doubled between spring and midsummer. And the salt, this brine that they would use by evaporating seawater, they couldn't get it to evaporate because there's too much moisture and humidity in the atmosphere. And that went up at least 25% there, from 30 to 40 shillings. And then wheat prices rose at least 3x, 3 times, making bread unaffordable for the peasants. Now you and I are going to be redesignated as peasants if things continue the way they are through the rest of the decade. But here's something interesting. Very, very last sentence there. People began to harvest wild roots, edibles, grasses, nuts, bark in the forest. That's called wild foraging. That's a learned skill, and there's plenty of books about that across the net. And if that was their solution, you might want to start practicing right now before the problem really arises. Great Famine of 1315 to 17, like I say, it continued. Stark increase in crime. And here's the interesting thing. People not normally inclined to criminal activity, they did, because they needed to feed their families by any means necessary. And then we fast forward to the overlay of time here. Stolen goods must remain under $950. Louis Vuitton. That's San Francisco. So crime waves, doesn't matter which century. It seems that when food prices and things get unaffordable, there's a cause and effect relationship into that. Now, move forward a little bit in time here. Say 1635 to 1640 is when the Maunder Minimum officially begins. Now, what do we see? Oats decline in production. But we saw oats decline in production during that earlier famine, 1315. So oats are your canary in the coal mine for strange weather events that dent into crop yields. You look for losses in oats first to verify that there's some greater trend going on. It turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off is not carbs or fat or even probiotic-rich foods. Nope. The end game of having a healthy weight, as well as more energy and a long, healthy life, comes down to a specific switch which you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Stephen Gundry is calling this caloric bypass. And by activating this specific process in your body, he's seen thousands, yes, thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. This includes losing weight, getting tons more energy, and returning to the good health that they had in their youth once they simply addressed this one key to better health. Dr. Stephen Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using this research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/adapt. And he'll teach you exactly how he's kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/adapt. Click on that link in the description box below. And now on with the video. Jumping over to the share of population that cannot afford a healthy diet. Looking at this, 2021 is the latest chart I could find for it. But remember, this is right in the middle of the vid. So our prices right now are far higher than what they were at that time. So if you take a look, where's the clusters at? Well, you got India and Mongolia, Indonesia down there in Asia. Then you swing over in predominantly almost every country in Africa, surprisingly, with some of the best resources on the planet. How's that possible? Things haven't gotten any cheaper, so this chart is definitely going to trend more red if we were to redo it today, but I wonder why they didn't. And that, drives right into the share of population that's undernourished. And I'm shocked in this day and age, like, how are there undernourished people on the planet? It really is, it's surprising me. I just can't wrap my head around it, except it's planned. That's the only possible way that it's possible. Because you look at the 25% of the people up there, sub-Saharan Africa, blue at the very top. It's off the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO from the UN. It's been like that since the 80s. I remember as a kid growing up, give $1 a day. It is still the same regions with the same famines. And it's just after, 45, almost 50 years, they're still in the same spin cycle. That's unbelievable for me. It's planned is what it is. Because we look over here at cereal yields, 1961 to 2022, they're moving from 4 tons a hectare up to 8 tons a hectare, and look at that's an enormous amount of the world just shot away. But what do you see at the bottom? You got Africa, Chad, and Niger scraping the bottom at almost nothing per hectare. Then you can see why an enormous amount of new alliances and allegiances are being formed right now. African nations are like, other people over there are going to help us get investment, get food, enhance the quality of our lives, give us more calories in the belly, give us an opportunity with some infrastructure. Like you all that kept putting us offline like this on purpose for the last 100 plus years, you're no longer welcome. So everywhere you look, the West is being strong-armed out of these areas. Now, these are some of the most productive areas on the planet. If they were to be put into production, they would rival anything. It would surpass anything that we have here. Got to realize soils haven't been tilled and destroyed for over 100 years in modern farming. They're starting from day one, year one with their soils. I understand it's sandy, a remediation in the soils, and then there's huge amounts of underground water resources that have never been tapped. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of cubic kilometers in the aquifers beneath Africa. I mean, hell, we've been tapping these out west here for over 100 years, and look how much productivity. The ones under Africa dwarf the ones that are in our western area of the United States. It's just been taken offline on purpose, and when it gets back online, it is a behemoth, and it will be steamrolling over the planet here. Maybe not this week, maybe not this year or next year, but within our lifetimes. That's why you see everybody freaking out, because there's so much cooperation now, which was once under control of certain interests. No longer. That has been freed. The cage has been opened. Which brings me to Russia in the BRICS. World share of wheat market has increased to 28% of all the world's wheat is from Russia. That is up from 25% because Ukraine has gone offline. So where there's a need, that shall be filled. Now, where's that going to? North Africa, grain share exports grow to 22.6%. North Africa took 22% of all the Russian grain exports. So again, you feed people, you give them more calories, they can solve more problems, they can lead a more fulfilled life, and this is, you can't buy this. This is not, there's something that doesn't have a value in terms of money. They're going to put their heart and soul into those that can help them live better lives. Again, this is just all a staged orchestration to set it aside for the next fourth turning, and this is where all the investment's going to, at least this next 80 years. And here at Mali, again, just an example, one of thousands not tens, not hundreds, one of thousands of these projects are planned, agro-industrial complex. What they're going to do is they're going to get into the biofuel production, plantations, and edible vegetable oils, and obviously pressed cake or oil cake from that, livestock feed. But you already see where they're going with this. Now they're getting into the animal feeds, and they're going to have the protein source on top of this along with the agriculture, and lo and behold, how long will it take? That's a timeline is what we're looking at on this. This is a rollout fast track across Africa. So what's the timeline? Well, the 14th meeting of the BRICS ministers of agriculture should tell us they're starting their own grain exchange outside anything Western controlled. They're going to set the price of grain for wheat, corn, soy, millet, sorghum, amaranth, all these secondary, tertiary grains by themselves outside there's going to be no what you consider futures pricing controlled by the West anymore. It will be a multi-pricing market. And that is going to shake the foundations of our economic system here alone. And speaking of things unbelievable, stunning survey reveals a quarter of Americans have never eaten vegetables. And I thought that has to be impossible. This is off the Babylon Bee here. I didn't know if it was a Babylon Bee article and apparently not. It was a survey of 2,000 persons, and they were talking about their favorite vegetable. And another factoid here, corn is number one in America for vegetables, being the favorite. And they found that 25%, I know it's a round number, it should be off like 23.7 or something if it was a real study, but they just pegged it at 25%. A quarter have never eaten any vegetable in their entire life. And I'm like, no, are you kidding me? I'm going to take you to Italy and I'm going to sit you at that table. I dare you not to eat a vegetable. Because for me, that's eye candy right there. That's life, that's fun, that's friends, that's food. That is, you grow some of that yourself and you share with others. And, sitting around that table, the scene speaks for itself. But, to say somebody that's never eaten a vegetable in their entire life, that's like saying you never saw the sunshine. You always lived in a cave and you never seen the sun or something equivalent. Because the world we're living in and moving into is absolutely shifting. And, I would say just enjoy every single day because change is the constant. And we've always experienced everything we've changed in the now. There's never been something in the future. It's always occurring at the now. And the thing that's always constant is change. Like we've never lived in a time where we didn't experience it in now and it didn't change. It's always continuously changing. You can have those memories of good old times, but those eras are not coming back. It's a continuous evolution of the universe itself. Like we're going to move forward with it. You can accept it. You can try to integrate it. You can try to front run it. You can see where the change, the opportunity is. But, we're coming to this new tech solutions here that are absolutely mind-blowing when all these nations are getting together. And I am, wondering, are we coming into a new type of era of what would be considered Tartaria, showing itself once again? And the future is, well, what you make it. It's always going to change, and that was the whole point, is we're in vast changes. Some occur faster than others. There was a lot of stability there for a while. We're absolutely at the crux of a new era. There's a lot of things that have been broadcast that this time is a time of change, and you need to get ready for it. So you can look at it in one of two ways. It's an opportunity or it's your downfall. So grasp that and look for the opportunities in it. And if there's no door, make a door. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of the video. Share with your friends and family. Start some conversations. I appreciate you watching. Bye for now.